Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to some more Gladius Relics of War, this time with the new Tyranid DLC. For those of you joining me for the first time ever, my name is Sabouts, and for those of you returning to the channel for another series, I'd like to welcome you back. This will be my third time playing the game on the channel. I originally played the game when it came out, then I played with the Reinforcement DLC, which added 4 new units to the game, and now we're going to be playing with the Tyranid DLC, which adds an entirely new faction, the Tyranids. So it says here, the Tyranids, of all of the races in the 41st millennium, the Tyranids are the most alien. Each Tyranid is a living weapon, a creature perfectly designed to fulfill its role. Driven by the gestalt consciousness of the hive mind, the Tyranids overwhelm their prey with weight of numbers. Those that are not swept aside under a tide of razor-sharp claws and lethal bioweaponry fire are smashed asunder by gigantic alien monsters the size of battle tanks. So they're really fun to play. I actually like them a lot in the Warhammer 40k universe. If this is your first time watching me play this game, I've got a lot of knowledge with the different races and such because I actually played the tabletop game for a really long time, probably 13 or 14 years. I had actually played the tabletop game and I was very into it. I had a lot of fun, so this game's been fun for me. But we've gone ahead and set up what the scenario is going to be for this particular playthrough. I always do like a special scenario for each one. And starting out, we'll be playing as the Tyranids here. We're going to have Team A be on Team A here with another Tyranid faction. That's the AI faction. And we'll be working together to try to overtake our enemies. The enemies being the Astra Militarum and the Space Marines, who are going to be working together to try to repel our invasion. And we've also got orcs here. That's sort of the outlying factor. I always like to add just a little bit of a, or throw kind of a little bit of a oddball into every single playthrough here. Because it just kind of mixes things up and makes it interesting. So we've actually got the orcs, and they're going to be on no team. So essentially the Astra Militarum and Space Marines are fighting the orcs, and we kind of showed up, and we're all going to be fighting each other. Difficulty, I've set it to impossible difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty setting in the game. The world size is going to be set to small. This is a lot of players for a small map, but I always find that it's a lot more interesting to play like that because the battles happen very quickly. I hate when I do that. If you click on that, then it resets everything, and I constantly do that when I'm setting up my games. Excuse me. Okay, so yeah, landmass medium. Game pace very fast. Oh my goodness. Which is fine for that there. For advanced, I haven't changed anything. Everything is still set to medium as it should be. The only difference is that I've set the wildlife density to very high, so that way we're going to be dealing with a lot of wildlife in the beginning of the game. As for the seed, if you'd like to play in the same world as me, here is the seed. You can go ahead and pause the video now, write this down, generate the seed yourself, and if you set up all the same settings, you can play along and see how well you do against me. Basically see how long you can last, because on possible difficulty, pretty much impossible to win. The extra AI help does sometimes help, but we're fighting 3 other players, one of them on a team, so it's always hard to win in this situation. No Necrons in this one, because anybody that watched the last playthrough will know what happened when we had Necrons in the game. I'm not having a repeat of that. That was a mess. They were just, let's just say they were very, very difficult to fight to the point where it didn't make sense.
In its isolation, Gladius Prime was an ideal research location. Here, the Adeptus Mechanicus Majus Biologus analyzed one of the greatest threats to the Imperium: the Tyranids. The defeat of High Fleet Kraken at Burgundia showed that science could defeat the horrors. The colony, Guard Outpost, and Space Marine Chapter were unwitting insurance. Defenses, in case the Tyranids ever escaped. When the day came, they weren't enough. Nothing was enough.
Awesome. So essentially, Gladius Prime was a research facility where they were researching Tyranids. So this isn't essentially a hive fleet that has entered the planet's or the solar system more or less than it is just a small hive that is broken out and is now consuming biomass in an attempt to grow into an actual hive fleet. So pretty exciting there. Now we've started extremely far away from our allies here, and that's unique. I don't think I've ever played a game where I've been so far away. They're literally on the other side of the map. They're all the way in the other corner. So this could prove to be a problem for us right out in the beginning. Now, we've started out with 3 sets of Termagants here. They're your shooty Tyranids. Tyranids especially excel in melee combat, but the shooty aren't too bad. They can be useful. We also get a Malanthrope here. He's more of a psychic wielding Tyranid, but he also is how you found your city. And we did start next to a Ruin of Vol here, so that's pretty good. We've got a Necron Tomb. It's not going to matter for this playthrough. We do get a Grox Pasture. That actually gives us a very large DNA biomass bonuses, which is going to be good. See up in top left-hand corner, we actually only use 3 things as opposed to a lot of other races which use multiple. We've got biomass, which is used to basically build everything. Your research for researching, and influence. Influence playing a much larger role in the game here for the Tyranids because you've got to use it to make heroes. Or it's very, like, most of your, not even just heroes, but most of your, like, bigger units use influence. And then on top of that, or basically I should say any unit that has a synapse range, and on top of that it's important for synapse. Now synapse is, well, let's go ahead and play along here. I'll explain it as we go. Where do we want to found a city? What are we looking at for biomass? This is a very poor, we actually started in probably one of the worst areas for locating biomass. You can see that you get significantly higher biomass breaking things down that have trees and such on them, right? Because that makes the most sense. Let's do this. Let's spread all of our units out and see what we can locate. So this is looking nicer down here now. This doesn't look bad up here, but we do have a lot of wildlife and more wildlife over there. We've also got something here as well, but we don't know what it is. So this is a really good early game tactic for those of you watching for the first time and you're thinking about maybe playing the game or trying the impossible difficulty. This is definitely a good early game tactic. Take what units you've got available, spread them out, and then it's going to give you, you know, kind of your option. You can see the Malanthrope actually has a lot of range to be able to go out. So he can spread out pretty far and see where we can put the city, but you're going to want to get your city down in your first turn. Second turn is the maximum on impossible difficulty. If you don't have your city down by the second turn, you're going to be in trouble. And the best thing too is to try to put your city in an area where you can create a choke point. In this particular instance, we did not start an area that has any good choke points, which really sucks. A lot, actually, because it's probably going to be the death of us. So we're going to try to start our city as far as we can away. This looks like a pretty good spot. We got the 20% bonus to biomass here. Plus, it puts us right next to this, which is pretty good. So I think this is where we're going to drop our city. Nice. Seems like a good spot there. So like I was saying earlier, Tyranid units use synapse, meaning that these units in particular have to be within 1 tile adjacent of a creature that is a synapse producer, essentially. So you can see here, these guys, they have an instinctive behavior, and they've got a morale of 4 out of 4. Very low morale. If they're within 1 tile adjacent of a creature with synapse, then their morale will go to 0 out of 0, meaning that they won't have any morale. They'll be fearless. So they won't have to worry about fallback or anything like that. Every single turn that these units are not within synapse range of a character that has a synapse link to the hive mind, they will lose morale. If they lose all of their morale and they're not within range, they go into instinctive behavior. And every Tyranid has a different instinctive behavior. You see, these guys actually have an instinctive behavior of lurk, which means that they're basically just going to go around the map and you're not going to be able to control them unless you get them within synapse range. Other characters might have feed, meaning that they'll just attack the nearest closest thing to them. And then there's a couple other different ones as well. You can see here that you can override the instinctive behavior, meaning that for 3 turns, the hive mind can essentially override it can turn its attention towards this unit, override the instinctive behavior, and you'll get 3 turns to control this unit, and it costs 5 influence, which is pretty expensive in the early game. But that'll allow you to basically be able to control the unit and try to get him within range of a Synapse creature or get him within range of your hive. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get a brood nest because that's how we build units. So it's going to be the most important thing. We could also acquire a tile if we want to, but we'll just put the brood nest right here on our main tile because I want to start researching units as quick as possible. The Tyranids actually, or start building units as quick as possible because the Tyranids, they are, I mean, they essentially shine by overwhelming their enemies with large numbers. So if you don't get large numbers of units, you're going to go down very quickly. So they can build units very, very quickly, but they need a lot of them because the units are weaker. They need a lot of them to be able to actually do damage. We're going to go ahead and there's a couple different ways here we can go. This will give us hero units right out the bat, which we're going to want Synapse creatures. Probably pretty quickly. Reduces the influence cost of overriding instinctive behavior is really good. We've got Hormagaunts and Gargoyles. Probably go with Hormagaunts. They're close combat units. They're really powerful and they move across the map very quickly. So I think they'll be our best bet. Meanwhile, we're going to have to deal with these guys here. So, all right, we've got our first quest. So it says, with the Astra Militarum as Tech Priest Liaison to investigate the Circle Varnak facility on Gladius Prime, that is the successful experiments which had resulted in victory at Fukundia? I know they said it in the beginning, but I don't remember now. High Fleet Kraken, essentially. When the storm stabilized, the planet was cut off. Fearing the worst, I made my way to the generator facility, but found it an empty ruin, with no trace of servitors or tech priests. I returned empty-handed to the surviving Imperial forces. Soon, reports came in, monsters, horrors, Tyranids, yet the creatures were not coordinated swarms, they were isolated, running wild, easy prey for neophyte marines or veteran guardsmen. I dared to hope we could eliminate them quickly. That wish was short-lived. Knowing what I know, the hive mind focused on the creation of mighty Synapse creatures, the warriors, tyrants, and primes. So we're going to have to build ourselves a Tyranid Prime, which has a Synapse link, essentially, and he's a hero unit. Gives really good bonuses to your Tyranids too. You can actually, I really like the way the Tyranids play because it's just completely different from everything else. It's very cool. Let's go ahead and take this for the extra biomass bonus. That is a must. We'll go ahead and fall this unit back now that we've seen. Oh, there's another biomass thing here as well that I will, I will definitely want to take. I doubt there's anything behind us though. So let's go ahead and start trying to deal with some of this wildlife if we can. Hopefully our ally here doesn't either run into another AI unit or get killed by the wildlife too, because in previous series, you guys might remember that I have actually almost lost... ooh, crap. I've actually almost lost the AI to wildlife in the area, which really sucks if that happens. Alright, let's take this. Plus 14 influence, it's nice. Provided plus 14 influence. Then it provides a research bonus from here on out. We're going to want to be making units too as soon as we get the Brood's Nest, and we're going to want to acquire a tile. Biomass is extremely important, so it's important that you try and take advantage of that as early as possible. At least that's been my experience playing as the Tyranids when I was doing my test runs. Alright, so we've got ourselves the Hormagaunts research. We're going to want to get those as quick as possible. I actually find the Hormagaunts to be very useful for building or for killing wildlife is what I'm trying to say. If we go here, we can see the morale goes 0 to 0. They're within one range of the Nornsist here, which is or the Trakenex or whatever. I guess that's the name of the city. It's a hive, essentially. They're within one range of it, so that actually gives them the Synapse link. You can see they have it here, and that's the thing there. So 0 morale max is what they get for that. And I'm going to put them here for now so they can heal. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and queue up a set of Hormagaunts to build. We'll actually queue up 2 of them because, like I said, they're really good at clearing out wildlife. And let's go and keep exploring a little bit. And then we got the Hormagaunts. Let's go for the that research there, the Alpha Ovipository, because that's going to give us an Alpha Prime, which is a Synapse unit, and a very powerful one at that. And the Tyranids, they make every tile that they grab barren because they consume all of the biomass there. Every time that you take a tile, you get a biomass bonus when you acquire it. So you can see when I acquire a tile, that 15 and 10, that's how much biomass you're going to get for just consuming that tile. So it's pretty important. This guy needs to heal, so we're going to have to put him back here so we don't get shot at. We'll have some Hormagaunts here in a second. Meanwhile, let's definitely get a reclamation pool going so we can get more biomass. With the 20% addition to biomass there, we're going to want to put reclamation pools on this whole tile because it's the only one you can see within vicinity of us that gives that bonus. There's no other tile, so we'll save all the other stuff we got to build for another tile that we'll acquire up here. I don't want to waste that particular bonus there. Let's go ahead and move these guys up. I want to see what this is. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I got 3 of those in the area. This is probably my, I don't want to say it's my best starting point. I did a test run where I started in an area that was essentially a massive choke point, so it was very easily defendable. But in terms of resources, this hasn't been too bad. I don't like starting in the volcanic, but because that gives us a lot less biomass, but it is what it is. It's still not bad because we've got these Grox pastures all around us, so that's a 20% bonus to biomass every time we take them. Meanwhile, our ally does seem to be holding up, so that's good. It doesn't seem to be getting overrun by wildlife just yet. And I like cranking the wildlife to very high because I find that it makes the enemy they have to kind of fight their way out of their starting zone, so it makes the small map a lot more practical in the early game. And then in the late game, when it's really all about fighting and that's it, and it's not about anything else, then the small map really shines, which is why I don't like doing the larger maps in this, because I think they just drag out. It's a lot of moving units and a lot less battling. Alright, so we've got the Alpha Ovipository here. We're going to want to place that, but we're not going to place it yet because we're going to put it on this tile so we can continue doing the biomass here. We're actually going to acquire that tile, and then we'll build it right there when it's done being acquired. But we've almost got our Hormagaunt, which is good. This guy healing up. We're going to want to take this. Oh, yikes. Well, at least we got it. Let's go ahead and fall these units back. And we're going to have to pull these units back, too, if they even survive. We could get gargoyles. They are jump infantry, which is always nice. Reduces the influence cost of reclamation. We don't really use reclamation, or at least I don't use it much. Tyranid warriors are really nice. I find the toxic sacks to be good too if you're going to go with Hormagaunts. Reduces the influence upkeep of resource buildings. This is good too because buildings cost influence, and being able to reduce that influence needs to be used for a lot of other things, so it's pretty useful for that. The Termagant is really good. He actually spawns Termagants. He's a hero unit that spawns Termagants. But let's go with the toxin sacks because that'll give our melee units a bonus against infantry, so we can use it to. That's why I said Hormagaunts are so good at clearing out wildlife units, because wildlife is mostly, if not pretty much all infantry. Well, there's very few that are not infantry. So it's beneficial in that regard. Here's our first set of Hormagaunts, so we can actually, you guys will be able to see how they are in action here in a second. Very deadly. Yeah. So they did some good damage to us too, but the Hormagaunts are definitely better than these shooty guys. Alright, so we're going to acquire that there, and then, yeah, I want to go for the Alpha repository. I will still get some Hormagaunts at some point, but let's just keep getting some Hormagaunts because they move quick anyways. They're fleet-footed. Yikes, the wildlife is really giving us a hard time, though. I don't know if I've had the wildlife give me a hard time like this before, but they are. Yeah, we'll want to get a warrior pretty quickly. Yeah, even those guys actually fell back. So let's move these guys back. And these guys back. Let's defend our hive right now. Our ally looking nice, though. We'll find out when we get the AI if it's going to be enough. He started in a much better location than me. Doesn't really have any natural choke points either, but he's definitely got a lot more biomass to be consumed. These trees giving 25 biomass. It's nice. Probably take these guys out, or at least get them to a point where they're going to retreat. Alright, we'll do a set of Termagants next, and then once we get that, I want to get more... Actually, probably get more influence, but I don't want to put that here, so let's definitely go for the reclamation pool. One more of those at least. Alright, toxin sacks. Now the wildlife, I'm going to tell you, now they're in some trouble. But let's pull these guys back, have these units do a little bit of healing here. Where is the... I want to get that one, that one. I thought there was... Let's see, we've got this one here. These guys I really should pull back and do some healing with too. Try and keep some of these units alive. Alright, and so that's it. We'll go ahead and choose our research here. I think we're going to go with probably the scavenger adaptation, because influence is extremely important, so let's grab that. And then we'll be able to build our hero here soon. He costs a lot of influence, so the more influence we can save from buildings, the better. But that is the end of this episode. Not a bad start, not the best start, but I will say that having the Grox Pastures is definitely going to be beneficial to us. And at least it's in the corner, so it's fairly defensible. I didn't start in the center of the map or something. Our ally here, though, he's doing pretty good compared to the last playthrough with our Astra Militarum ally, so hopefully he can keep it up as well. I see that he's even got a Malanthrope already, which is crazy. Hopefully we can get a second one up as well. And keep spreading out. With that being said, I want to thank you all for joining me. I do hope that you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you next time.